Chosen one, anchor your spirit to every word I am about to speak. That bitterness sitting in the back of your throat right now, the one you keep swallowing down, I need you to let it surface for just a moment, because what I am about to tell you is going to change how you see everything that happened to you. Heaven is stunned, not disappointed, not silent. Stunned in the way a courtroom goes quiet when the verdict defies every expectation. And that verdict is you. The enemy is working overtime right now for one reason, and one reason only. He watched you go through what you went through, and he did not get what he came for, and he cannot accept it. It all ends here. The grief, the replaying, the quiet rage you carry into rooms and set down on the table when no one is watching. It ends in this message. Not because of coincidence, not because of luck, but because of what you refuse to become. Think back to that moment this week, or maybe last week, when someone who should have protected you, chosen you, stood beside you, did the opposite. Maybe it was betrayal delivered with a smile. Maybe it was abandonment wrapped in an excuse. Maybe it was cruelty so casual that you almost doubted what you witnessed. And in that moment, something rose up inside you. You felt it, the pull toward darkness, the temptation to match their energy, to retaliate, to become the very thing that hurt you. But you did not. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. God did. This is a divine appointment written before the foundations of the earth, scheduled for this exact moment in your story, because heaven has something to say to you directly. Stay until the very last second, because in the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the spiritual verdict that explains why you were targeted, why it was so relentless, and why your refusal to break was not weakness. It was warfare. I am going to walk you through the precise moment you unknowingly activated a level of divine protection that the enemy is still trying to reverse. And at the end, I am going to give you the declaration that seals this chapter closed, so it cannot reopen. Do not leave this message. Your future self has been waiting at this exact threshold, and if you walk away now, you walk away right before the weight of what you survived is finally translated into the language of victory. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. The atmosphere around you has not just been heavy, it has been suffocating. Like the air has memory, and it keeps replaying what happened. Maybe you were lying awake at 3 in the morning this week, staring at the ceiling, running through every moment, asking yourself where you went wrong. Or maybe you were in the middle of a completely ordinary moment, washing dishes, driving home, sitting in a room full of people, and the grief just arrived uninvited and sat down beside you like it owned the space. You feel hollowed out, not broken, but emptied, like something was extracted from you without your consent, and you are trying to function in a life that no longer feels like it fits. And in that hollowness, the enemy has started whispering a very specific lie. Listen carefully to what has been circling your mind. He is telling you that the reason you did not react, the reason you did not fight back, the reason you stayed silent and walked away, is because you are weak. He is replaying that moment over and over. That moment when you swallowed your words. That moment when you chose peace over war. That moment when you refused to expose them, refused to retaliate, refused to let your pain become a weapon. He is telling you that restraint was defeat. He is telling you that your silence means you lost. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. Romans 12:21 says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." Listen to the weight of that word. Overcome, not survive, not endure, overcome. The scripture is not asking you to merely withstand evil. It is declaring that when you refuse to be pulled into it, you have already defeated it. Your choice to remain whole in the face of something designed to corrupt you was not passive. It was the most aggressive spiritual act you could have performed. The enemy did not come for your possessions. He did not come for your position. He came for your soul. He sent people, situations and circumstances specifically engineered to make you become something dark. And you refused. Heaven is not just watching. Heaven is stunned. The heaviness you feel right now is not the weight of failure. It is the weight of a war you won without fully knowing you were fighting it. The exhaustion in your bones is not the sign of someone who has been broken. It is the mark of someone who has been through something that would have destroyed a lesser spirit and is still standing on the other side of it. You did not become bitter. You did not become cold. You did not become them. That was not weakness. That was not passivity. That was a divine strategy written into your character before this trial ever arrived at your door. You are not starting over. You are finishing. And the life that is waiting on the other side of this conclusion is not the life you had before. It is the one you have now been qualified to carry. Some messages don't just inform, they activate. If something stirred deep in your spirit just now, you may be ready to receive the Chosen One's blueprint. This sacred guide reveals the 8 divine patterns behind your calling, your suffering, and your destiny. It also comes with the full audiobook, so you can absorb it during prayer, rest, or quiet moments with God. And for those called to speak His truth, you'll also receive Activating Your Prophet Mantle, a powerful bonus ebook for those carrying a prophetic assignment. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Now let's go deeper into what this profound and pivotal moment actually means for you, unearthing the hidden truths veiled by the intensity of your journey. We're peeling back the layers of your experience, not to dwell in the past, but to illuminate the path ahead, understanding that every single thread of your life has been intricately woven into a divine tapestry that is far more beautiful and significant than you can currently perceive. There is something that has been happening beneath the surface of every painful thing you have experienced. A subtle yet powerful undercurrent that most people never get to see clearly because the sheer volume of the pain is too loud, too overwhelming. The hurt, like a crashing wave, often drowns out the whisper of revelation, obscuring the deeper, more profound meaning. But right now, in this sacred and intentional moment, I need you to do something difficult, something that requires immense spiritual courage and a shift in perspective. I need you to step back from the wound just far enough to see the war, to recognize the larger spiritual conflict at play. Because what was done to you was not random. It was not merely a series of unfortunate events or a string of bad luck. What was done to you was targeted. It was a precise strike, a deliberate maneuver in a spiritual battle you may not have even realized you were fighting. And targeted means recognized. It means that there is something inherently valuable, inherently powerful, inherently called within you that the enemy identified, marked, and sought to neutralize long before you ever identified it in yourself. This recognition by the adversary is, in itself, a profound confirmation of your divine potential. It speaks volumes about the magnitude of the assignment etched upon your soul, a destiny so significant that it drew the attention of forces bent on disruption and delay. Think about that for a moment. Let that truth settle deep into the marrow of your being. He, the adversary, does not waste his most sophisticated attacks, his most cunning strategies, his most meticulously planned assaults on ordinary people living ordinary lives. He reserves his most layered, most personal, most precisely engineered assaults for the ones whose assignment he fears the most. He targets those whose light is destined to shine brightest, whose voice is meant to carry the furthest, whose impact is poised to shake the foundations of his kingdom. The betrayal that found you was not coincidental. It was a calculated interception. The people who were placed in your path, seemingly by chance to wound you, they were, in many ways, unwitting instruments in a grander, darker scheme. They did not even fully understand the role they were playing, the deeper spiritual agenda they were fulfilling. They felt justified in what they did. Perhaps they felt righteous even, convinced of their own narrative and the correctness of their actions. But behind their choices, behind their words, behind their seemingly personal offenses, was a force far older than their individual grievances, a primal opposition trying to interrupt something in you before it fully formed, before your divine potential could blossom into its full, unshakable power. This was a preemptive strike against your destiny, a desperate attempt to snip the vine before it bore fruit, to quench the flame before it ignited a raging fire. David understood this truth in the crucible of his own wilderness. Before he was ever crowned king, before he held a scepter or wore the regal mantle, Saul was already relentlessly hunting him. And here is what is truly staggering about that ancient story. David had done absolutely nothing to deserve such venomous pursuit. He had played soul-soothing music for the very man who would later hurl a spear at him in a fit of jealous rage. He had served faithfully, fought loyally, honored publicly, displaying a steadfastness that few possess. And still, the relentless attack came. It came not because David had failed, not because he had erred, but precisely because David was ascending. Saul, consumed by an envious spirit, could feel the rising anointing on David's life. He could not name it, he could not comprehend the source or the power, and he certainly could not stop its inevitable trajectory. But he could feel it, a palpable threat to his own diminishing reign. And that raw, uncontrollable feeling drove him to pursue David into the desolate wilderness, into the dark, unforgiving caves, into years of displacement, exile, and profound isolation, all because the anointing on David's life was a divine threat that could not be neutralized through any ordinary, conventional means. Saul instinctively understood that this was a spiritual battle, even if he articulated it through the lens of human politics and paranoia. You, my friend, are not in a defeated season. You are not in a forgotten season, relegated to the sidelines of God's plans. You are in a David season, a hidden season, a cave season. And let this truth deeply penetrate your spirit. The cave is not a punishment. It is not a place of abandonment or divine retribution. On the contrary, the cave is preparation. The unyielding walls of your present circumstances, which may feel like an inescapable prison, are in reality functioning as a sacred womb. Something utterly profound, something essential and indestructible is being formed in you within this very darkness, something that could not possibly have been shaped, refined, or fortified in the glaring light of public view. This is a season of gestation, of deep inner transformation, where the pressure and the solitude are not meant to crush you, but to mold you into the person you are destined to become, forging character and strength that will be indispensable for the weight of your future assignment. But here is where this revelation goes even deeper. And this is precisely where most people miss the turn entirely, becoming stuck in the pain rather than grasping its purpose. The cave is not just where God hides you, protecting you from premature exposure or the world's harsh judgments. The cave is also where God strips you. In that profound darkness, in that disquieting silence, in that unsettling hollowness you may have described, where it feels as though something vital has been extracted from you, God is meticulously removing what you would have inevitably used in the wrong way if he had promoted you any earlier. Consider the analogy of a master craftsman refining gold. The dross must be burned away for the pure metal to emerge. The version of you that existed before this trial, before this season of intense refinement, would have carried the divine gift with the wound still painfully attached, like a precious jewel embedded in fractured clay, and a wounded gift, one tainted by unhealed pain, always eventually wounds others. It projects its own unmet needs, its own unaddressed hurts, onto the very people it is meant to bless and serve. So the stripping that feels like an agonizing loss, like an unbearable severing, is actually a precise divine surgery. It is a surgical procedure performed without the numbing comfort of anesthesia, because the profound depth of the work, the radical transformation required, necessitated you to be fully conscious for every single incision, every single delicate removal. You needed to feel it, every layer of it, every searing moment, every raw emotion, every deep surrender. Not to destroy you, not to break your spirit beyond repair, but precisely to define you, to clarify your essence, to sharpen your spiritual discernment, and to etch upon your soul the indelible marks of resilience, compassion, and unshakable faith. This process is forging a new inner architecture, a spiritual backbone that will allow you to stand firm and carry the glorious weight of what is to come. And what's coming next will likely surprise you, perhaps even astound you, because it always does at this particular, pivotal point in the journey of the chosen. It is a revelation that recontextualizes your struggles and reveals the true nature of your strength. Here is what nobody, or very few, tell you about spiritual warfare, the unseen battles that rage for your soul and your destiny. The most dangerous battlefield is not the one outside of you. It is not the external betrayal that pierced your heart. It is not the crushing rejection that made you question your worth. It is not even the specific people who wronged you, who acted as instruments of the adversary. No, the most dangerous battlefield is the one that opens up, subtly and insidiously inside you, in the quiet aftermath of all of that external turmoil. Because the enemy, being cunning and strategic, knows with absolute certainty that he could not break you from the outside. He tried, he launched his most formidable attacks, and you, by God's grace, withstood them. So, with a calculated shift in strategy, he moved the fight inward. He is now using your own memory against you, transforming it from a repository of experience into a weaponized archive of pain. He is using your own voice, that precious inner monologue, against you, twisting it into a chorus of doubt, self-condemnation, and fear. That internal replay, that relentless loop of every agonizing moment, every cutting word that was said, every deafening silence that spoke louder than any sentence, he curated that playlist. He is the insidious DJ of your inner suffering right now, endlessly spinning tracks of regret, resentment, and rumination. And every single time you replay those painful scenarios in your mind, every time you allow yourself to get lost in that curated narrative of hurt, you are, unknowingly, giving him access to the most sacred and inviolable space you own: your mind, your heart, your spirit. You are granting him permission to pollute the wellspring of your inner peace. This is precisely where the ancient story of Nehemiah becomes your profound mirror, reflecting back the spiritual tactics at play in your own life. When Nehemiah was diligently rebuilding the broken walls of Jerusalem, his enemies, Sanballat and Tobiah, did not directly attack the physical wall itself. They did not launch a frontal assault on the bricks and mortar. Instead, they attacked the builder. They understood a critical truth. If you destroy the morale and conviction of the one doing the work, the physical structure will eventually crumble on its own. They sent mocking letters, full of baseless accusations and threats. They spread malicious rumors, designed to sow fear and division among the workers. They called sham meetings, designed to distract and intimidate Nehemiah. They manufactured endless distractions, aiming to exhaust his spirit and erode his focus, because they understood something incredibly profound. If you can get the builder to stop believing in what he is building, to lose faith in the vision, to doubt his capacity or the divine mandate, then the wall falls on its own. You do not need to lift a single hand to tear it down. You just need to convince the builder to walk away, to abandon the project in despair. The enemy is not primarily attacking your life right now in the physical sense, not the external circumstances or the visible manifestations of your existence. No, his primary assault is deeper, more insidious. He is attacking your belief in what your life is becoming. He is trying to sever your connection to the divine blueprint, to distort your vision of your glorious future. He wants you to look at the rubble, at the broken pieces of your past experiences, at the perceived failures and losses, and forget the fundamental foundational truth that rubble is not the end of a story. Rubble is precisely where construction begins. It is the raw material, the cleared ground for something infinitely greater and more resilient to be built. He wants you to see desolation where God sees fertile ground for a new beginning. Stay with me, lean in, because what I am about to share next is not just empowering. It is the absolute non-negotiable part that breaks the entire cycle of spiritual attack and inner torment. This is the pivot point, the moment of profound spiritual mechanics that shifts the entire trajectory of your journey. The moment you stopped reacting, not just outwardly, but inwardly, choosing to disengage from the emotional tug-of-war, the moment you swallowed those cutting words, those stinging rejections, and consciously chose not to retaliate, to not give back in kind, something was profoundly sealed over your life that the enemy absolutely cannot unseal. This is not merely poetic language or spiritual allegory. This is an immutable truth of spiritual mechanics, as precise and powerful as any physical law. Remember the ancient account in Exodus, when the blood of the lamb was meticulously placed on the doorpost of the homes of the Israelites. The destroyer, that force of death and destruction, could not enter. It was not about the quality of the person inside the house. It was not about their moral perfection or their spiritual prowess. It was fundamentally about what was placed on the threshold, the divine mark of protection. In the same way, your profound restraint in the face of provocation became a spiritual doorpost for your life. Your steadfast refusal to descend into darkness, to become bitter, to mirror the negativity directed at you, became the very blood that sealed your dwelling, marking it as untouchable by the forces of destruction. And now, the forces that came with the intention to extract something vital from you, to steal your peace, your joy, your destiny, are passing over you, unable to touch what has been divinely marked and protected. The mark on your life is not theirs to profane or violate. But I want to go even further than that, because there is a layer to this profound truth that most teaching does not reach, a deeper dimension of understanding that elevates your past pain into future power. Your silence in that moment of intense pressure, your refusal to engage in the fray of human retaliation, was not just an act of obedience to a higher principle, it was an act of prophecy. When you refused to lash out, when you chose grace over grievance, you were, in effect, prophesying your future. You were declaring, without uttering a single word, that what they did to you does not and will not define the next chapter of your sacred story. You were announcing with the power of spiritual authority in the unseen realm that you are not the kind of person who trades an eternal inheritance for momentary, fleeting satisfaction or the cheap thrill of an "I told you so." Every prophet in Scripture, every vessel chosen by God for a monumental assignment, had a moment like yours. A critical juncture where they had every human right, every societal justification to respond with fiery retaliation, to defend their honor, to exact revenge. And yet they did not. And it was precisely in that crucible of restraint, in that profound act of self-control and spiritual discernment, that their voice was not diminished, but sharpened. Because a voice that has been tested by silence, a voice that has been refined through the fire of unretaliated pain, carries an inherent weight, an authenticity, and a spiritual authority that a voice that has never been quieted, a voice that has always reacted impulsively, simply cannot produce. Your silence became the anvil upon which your prophetic voice was forged, ready to declare God's truth with unshakable conviction. Consider the powerful narrative of Elijah, the prophet of fire. After his greatest, most dramatic victory on Mount Carmel, after he called down fire from heaven and silenced the prophets of Baal, he ran into the wilderness, collapsing under a lonely juniper tree, utterly exhausted, both physically and spiritually. In his profound despair, he cried out, "It is enough. Now, Lord, take away my life, for I am no better than my fathers." He felt like a failure, like he was the only one left standing for God, isolated and defeated. He yearned for release from the crushing burden. And what did heaven do? Heaven did not lecture him about his lack of faith or his momentary weakness. Heaven did not rebuke him for his despair. Instead, an angel gently touched him and said, "Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee." God fed him, not once, but twice, with divinely prepared bread and water, providing supernatural sustenance for his depleted body and spirit. And then, strengthened by that divine provision, infused with an unearthly energy, Elijah traveled for 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mountain of God, powered not by his own dwindling resolve, not by sheer willpower, but by what heaven had miraculously placed within him in his lowest, most vulnerable moment. That, beloved one, is precisely where you are right now. You are not at the end of your story, not at the defeated conclusion of your journey. You are, in fact, at the foot of a significant mountain, poised for a new ascent. You are being strengthened by something profoundly significant that has been deposited into you through this very trial, this painful experience that you do not yet fully comprehend the magnitude of. The journey ahead, the high calling upon your life, is indeed too great for the version of you that existed before this pain, before this stripping, before this season of intense preparation. That former self, though beautiful and valuable, lacked the specific spiritual musculature, the depth of character, the resilience forged in fire to carry the weight of your true assignment. But this version, the one that came through the fire without becoming consumed by it, the one that walked through the valley of the shadow of death without becoming death itself. This version is not merely surviving. This version is equipped, tempered, and uniquely prepared for what is coming. This version possesses a strength born of surrender, a wisdom gleaned from suffering, and a faith purified by trial. And this is where we arrive at something truly profound, something hidden in plain sight, a truth that will irrevocably shift how you understand not just this specific season of your life, but every single season that came before it, revealing the divine thread that connects them all. You have undoubtedly been praying for protection. You have been earnestly asking God to remove the attacks, to quiet the relentless voices of your enemies, to clear the path of all obstacles. And let me be clear, that prayer is not wrong. It is a natural and understandable cry of the heart. But there is a more complete, more expansive picture that God, in His infinite wisdom, wants you to see, a perspective that transforms your understanding of suffering itself. The attack you endured was not a failure of your divine protection. It was not an indication that God had somehow forgotten you or left you exposed. On the contrary, the attack was irrefutable evidence of your impending promotion. This is a foundational spiritual principle. Promotion in the spirit realm always precedes provision and manifestation in the natural realm. And what the enemy attacks, what he targets with his most formidable weapons, is always a direct preview, a prophetic glimpse of what God is about to release into your life. The intensity, the ferocity, the layered complexity of the opposition you faced is directly proportional to the magnitude of what heaven is preparing to hand you, to entrust you with. He would not have sent his very best, his most seasoned and cunning agents, against you if you were not about to step into something truly extraordinary, something of immense spiritual significance that threatens his dominion. Your struggle has been the billboard advertising your coming breakthrough. This is the part you probably did not expect, the challenging and deeply liberating truth that might even confront your previous assumptions. Because most people, when they hear this message of divine promotion, they instinctively think the enemy overplayed his hand because he simply did not know what you were truly made of, that he underestimated your inner strength. But the truth is far deeper, far more nuanced, and yes, more confrontational than that. The enemy did not make a miscalculation about your inherent strength, about your natural talents, or your resilience. No. His profound miscalculation was about your willingness to yield. He thought, with absolute certainty, that the excruciating pain you experienced would finally make you take control, to grasp for power and manipulate circumstances to your own advantage. He thought the crushing rejection would finally make you rely solely on yourself, abandoning trust in the unseen hand of God. He thought the prolonged silence of God in certain agonizing moments, when you cried out and heard no immediate answer, would finally make you stop trusting completely and start manipulating, coercing, or strategizing in the flesh. He never, ever expected that in the very middle of everything falling apart around you, when your world felt like a shattered mosaic, you would still, with profound spiritual tenacity, choose surrender. That you would still, against every human instinct, choose trust. That you would hold your hands open, palms upward in an act of profound vulnerability and unwavering faith, when every fiber of your being, every raw instinct was screaming at you to clench them into fists of defensiveness, anger, and self-preservation. Surrender, in its purest, most radical form, is the ultimate weapon he has absolutely no answer for, no counter-strategy against. It disarms him completely because it operates on a dimension of faith he cannot comprehend or infiltrate. Consider the cross. From every human, logical angle, it looked like the most catastrophic, humiliating defeat imaginable, the utter failure of a Messiah. And yet, paradoxically, it was the single most catastrophic victory in the entire history of eternity, the ultimate triumph of love over hate, life over death, light over darkness. In the same profound spiritual economy, your posture of surrender in this season, this radical yielding of your will, is not the reason you feel behind, stagnant, or delayed. On the contrary, it is the precise divine reason you are about to be launched further, higher, and with greater velocity than anything you could have ever engineered or achieved with your own limited effort, your own clever strategies, or your own attempts at retaliation. Surrender is not resignation, it is strategic alignment with the unstoppable power of God. And now, we arrive at the final, most transformative layer of this revelation. The one that, once fully embraced, reframes everything, shifting your entire perspective and unlocking the gates to your breakthrough. The thing that has truly been blocking your breakthrough, the actual barrier between where you are and where God is taking you, is not the enemy himself, for his power is limited and ultimately defeated. It is not your past, for that has been sanctified and redeemed. It is not even the people who wounded you, for they were merely instruments, their power over you broken. No, the true blockage, the most subtle and stubborn impediment, is the version of your future, the fixed picture of what restoration should look like, that you have been holding on to so tightly in your mind and heart that you cannot possibly receive the more expansive, more glorious one God is actually building for you. You have a deeply ingrained picture in your mind of what full restoration should look like, what it should feel like, who should be in it, how it should arrive, the precise packaging it should come in. And every single time, what God sends, what He offers, what He reveals, does not perfectly match that preconceived, human-limited picture, you hesitate. You pull back. You hold a piece of yourself in reserve. You wonder if it is truly real, if it is enough, if it is indeed the thing you have been waiting for, the answer to your deepest prayers. But here is the magnificent truth. God does not merely restore what was taken. He transcends mere restoration. He replaces what was lost with something your former capacity, your previous understanding, could not possibly have held or even comprehended. Think of the widow of Zarephath in the biblical narrative. She was not merely given back her original small jar of oil that was almost depleted. She was given an overflow, a ceaseless supply that miraculously outlasted the entire famine, providing not just for her, but for her son and for the prophet Elijah. Her jar was enlarged beyond her wildest expectations. Release the picture you have been protecting, the carefully constructed blueprint of your desired future. It is too small, too constrained by human logic and past experiences, and it is, profoundly, the last thing standing between you and the boundless, extraordinary future that heaven has been meticulously building and reserving in your name. Let go and make space for God's infinitely greater more. Place your hand on your heart right now. Feel the rhythm of your life and speak this powerful declaration with me, allowing each word to resonate with conviction and truth. I release the crushing weight of what was done to me. I release the need, the right, to understand every single why before I take the next divine step forward. I break agreement now with every insidious lie that called my strategic restraint weakness and my profound silence defeat. I declare with absolute conviction that the attack I bravely survived was not evidence of abandonment. It was, in truth, irrefutable evidence of my sacred assignment and the incredible magnitude of my calling. I am not behind schedule. I am not forgotten in the divine plan. I am not less than, I am more. I am actively being prepared for something my former unrefined self could not possibly have carried, could not have stewarded with wisdom and grace. I step into this glorious next season with open hands, ready to receive. I wholeheartedly receive what heaven, in its infinite love and wisdom, has been meticulously building in my name, a future beyond my wildest dreams. I walk forward now, knowing with unshakable certainty that what tirelessly tried to break me has only miraculously made me utterly unbreakable, forged in the fires of adversity. I am seen by God. I am covered by His unfailing grace and protection. I am chosen for a purpose far grander than I can imagine. And this painful, challenging chapter of my life closes now, not in bitterness, not in resentment, but in the full, unshakable weight of a victory that was decidedly sealed and guaranteed before the trial ever began. It is finished, and I am absolutely ready for what comes next. If this message confirmed what your spirit has been carrying, share it with someone who needed to hear it today. And if you want to continue this journey, leave a comment below with the word ready. Because your next season is not waiting on your circumstances to change. It is waiting on you to declare that you are prepared to receive it.